Nerd.
Hey, it's just a euphemism for something else, right?
Is it?
Yes.
For feet. Hello everyone, welcome to the Geek Envy Podcast, episode 43. My name is Matt, and this podcast is about video games, geek culture, and whatever we feel like talking about. So welcome back to our bi-monthly installment.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of those.
One of those.
Of our podcast. I'm joined with Joey.
I'm here. That's right.
Also, Courtney is here as well.
I am.
I have actually met Courtney now in person.
And I'm just as fabulous in person as I am over mics.
Do you use more than one mic?
I might.
All right. And then also Eric.
Yeah, I'm still here.
And I haven't met Eric in person, and
I'm poison.
Poison. Sorry, I was trying to get the northern accent.
New York accent.
for you.
Who's tried?
Also, we're not sure if we're being catfished by Eric yet or not.
Oh.
That's true.
It's possible.
I haven't even thought about that, but okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, today we have something a little bit different lined up for everyone. We are going to be talking about books.
Yeah.
It's a smart topic.
Nerds.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And first, we need to recap. We need to catch up with Eric for a little bit. But one thing I want to say about our books is I'm reading over all of your guys' lists here,
And gals.
and you all think you're freaking cultured.
I'm not.
I don't think my list
I'm
is
just saying,
cultured
guys,
at all.
this isn't airing on NPR. Like I don't even know what to do about these lists.
Get learned.
Does NPR have a book version of like All Things Considered or All Songs Considered?
I don't.
Oh, I'm sure.
I literally don't know anything from NPR other than like how people make fun of it on TV.
I like Kojo Namdi.
NPR is good, man.
See, you guys all think you're so cultured. All right. Well, anyways, Eric, you went to KeyCon. Tell us about that.
I did. So, as I mentioned before, KeyCon was a one-day event in New York City.
It's never happening again.
No,
They
it
canceled it.
It happens yearly, but I mean,
So
it's past tense now, right?
Yeah,
That's
true.
what I'm trying to say. So it was last Saturday. What is that? June 1st? Yes, June 1st. And it was a one-day event in which it was more of a kind of meetup of sorts, but it also had vendors. We had roughly about 350 people come out through the course of the day.
Ooh.
And it was great. So upstairs in the Ace Hotel, they had the lobby set up in which everyone could present their boards and kind of keep them as a showcase. And just people sat around the bar talking about different switches, keycaps, what brought them into the kind of, I guess, mechanical keyboard scene. And downstairs, you had a lot of artisan vendors and like your big name vendors. You had Mass Drop there showcasing their boards. You had 1UP keyboards and a few other ones that were selling a few items. But the panels were good. I think I sat in on about 2 panels, one about artisans and just kind of the community itself.
So if any of you guys were following us on Instagram this week, Eric posted a few images in our story. He didn't really explain what they were, so if you saw any like nondescript people like in a room,
that was a panel.
That was KeyCon.
Yeah. No, I should have been a bit, I guess, a bit better with describing those photos. But the majority of them spoke for themselves. They were photos of people in attendance, people looking over keyboards, kind of trying things out, collections of artisans, people trading. The one with the 4 people was a panel, and that was the artisan panel, which I attended. And again, I probably could have been a little bit better in taking the photos, but I was having fun. I didn't want to stop and have to.
No, it's all good. We're just joking with you.
We appreciate
No, I
the
know.
pictures, Eric.
So,
No, I know.
what do you talk about at a keyboard panel?
So the artisan panel was more geared around 4, I guess, big name artists and makers in the community, and it was a discussion around how sculpts are made, inspiration behind those particular sculpts, and kind of their own ideas on when you should stop making those sculpts and move on to something else, and what the community kind of likes and builds around. Outside of panels, though, I was having discussions with a few people. There's one guy named Mito, M-I-T-O. He's huge in designing the key sets for the community. So if you've seen a lot of major key sets like Godspeed.
What's a key set?
A key set is the actual keys on your board.
Like all...
Yeah, like the all 108 or 104.
Gotcha.
So
size.
does that mean like some people are like, I have an alternate setup. I do not do QWERTY. I do backwards QWERTY. And then they have to type backwards.
No one has stupid setups like that. If anything, they do have like the QWERT Z or the European style layouts. But
Eric, you should make your own, and then present it at the next KeyCon, and then show that you can type and how it's better.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's come up with some like crazy way of like typing backwards, but nah, not for me.
What did you buy?
A bunch of artisan keys.
Like little keys for like the function button and stuff like that?
Yeah, a bunch of like cute sculpts and other random things. I won 2 key sets actually.
Ooh.
Whoa!
How'd you win?
Whole
So
set.
we had a giveaway set up there for the for KeyCon, and it was essentially you were in the raffle as long as you entered. You RSVP'd. You got a number. You entered the raffle, and at the end of the convention, they raffled out a bunch of the stuff there.
Weren't you staff?
Yes, but I was not paid, and
I call shenanigans. He's like, let me just draw the winner. Oh my gosh, it's me.
No, I didn't.
I didn't know you were staff for this one.
Yeah.
He posted his shirt and everything, and it was like,
Oh, that's right.
it was like I'm a key or something. I forget.
Yeah, KeyCon. It said KeyCon staff. That's it.
Oh, I'm a key.
That's
That's the same thing.
Close enough.
But no, it was definitely fun. Like a lot more people showed up than I expected, to be honest. And this being my first kind of enthusiast meetup or convention in that way, it felt like Comic-Con in a way.
It looked legit.
Yeah, the halls were full of people. The vendor space was definitely full of people. Everyone kind of leaning over the tables, talking to the vendors, getting their own comments in. But yeah, it was great.
I feel like New York is probably awesome for like niche things like that. Because if you
That's
did that
true.
like out here, there'd be like 5 like weird, freaky dudes.
Well, the last
Like
one,
around a table.
the last KeyCon was in Pittsburgh, and I think the one before that was I can't remember the one before that was, but they have been growing, and they were kind of that kind of meetup space. And where I say it's this enthusiast meetup is where you know it's like maybe in someone's house with like 20 people, and,
Or like at like a Denny's at like 2 a.m.
that actually probably would have been fun.
Did they set a location for next year?
Not yet. I mean, with this one just ending right now, we're actually in discussions of do we maintain the enthusiast meetup side of it, or does it move more towards a convention style?
May I suggest Washington, D.C.?
That is on the list, I think.
You just go to Raleigh. I'll go if you go to Raleigh.
I think one of the jokes was Kyoto.
Oh, because
Kyoto.
Hey!
In Japan.
No, this guy. Oh.
I love Korea.
Well, awesome.
Wow.
We're glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it sounds
Cool.
awesome. Looks
We're
cool
not
too.
jealous at all.
Yeah.
Of your key
Did
thing.
you drink? You said that there was drinks. Were there drinks?
He was staff. I don't
Yes.
think he was allowed to
No.
drink.
I did.
Oh.
I was
That's not
allowed.
that's not very professional. of you.
Drink
No,
on the
see-
clock.
Joey, you're a big old
Rigged a
fun
raffle.
poo-poo pants.
No, but see, this is where I was saying it's still that kind of like small community enthusiast style. Is that even though it had con in the name, by 3:00 everyone had already had a few drinks in them. There was a bar downstairs and a bar upstairs.
Nice. What was the most unique thing you saw?
Most unique was probably an Ergodox. It's kind of hard to describe. So it's a split keyboard that is created in a way where your hands wrap around. I'm going to have to post a picture to the Instagram because I don't think there's no way for me to describe this without like butchering it. But it glue in the dark. So it was like 3D printed. The guy hand wired the actual internals himself, and then the switches were in such a position that your hands. Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna post a picture.
That's pretty
Pixar,
awesome.
it didn't happen.
They also had some cool like old school ones, like a Model F was there, like an IBM Model F, and then one dude had some super duper heavy, like almost ridiculously heavy springs in this keyboard.
Was there an IBM 5100?
No, not that I saw.
You could travel through time.
Got to bring that back for the lab.
People do collect those though.
Yeah, the lab mems.
All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna post some more pictures, but I think I've been posting my artisans on my own personal one. But I'll put some up on the Geek Envy one.
Yeah, man, rep the keys.
All right, I will.
He's a Keyblade wielder.
Okay.
Actually,
let's
no.
move on. With that joke, that's a good
No.
segue.
She's joking, but there is an actual Keyblade. It's Keeb, Keyblade.
Keeb.
I will post the picture.
Yes, you definitely have to post a picture of that. And everything else.
Mm-hmm. We'll see it all.
We'll see, yeah.
A couple pictures of your face would be nice too.
Mm-hmm.
Just so we know you're still okay.
Just so we know you're not catfishing us still.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I swear he's in prison the whole time.
Yeah, I'm writing you guys from prison. All right.
This was his one weekend out.
He's actually our prison pen pal, and we let him on the podcast. All right, guys. You want to talk about books?
Let's
do
talk about
it.
books.
Let's
All
do
right.
it.
So here's how I see this going. Each one of us talks about a book. I'm going to start with my favorite ever and work my way down. I think most of us have about 5, but I don't know if we'll get through them all. It depends on how like nerdy people get with it. But I don't really want to start. So who does?
So are we doing like number 1 for all of us and then going down?
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, it's good. Just
Sorry, wait. We kind of just gave Matt like all hosting responsibilities.
We did.
no, it's all good. I
But
got this.
Matt's doing a great job.
What? Are you patronizing me? Am I not doing
Yes.
good?
No.
What do I need to do better?
Oh my God, Matt.
Courtney,
look
I
me
just
in the
can't-
eyes.
I can't. What?
The thing's off.
I thought we turned off our
Camera's
videos.
off.
He did. I'm just fucking with you. Pretend that you're looking into my beautiful, big ol'
Oh,
eyes.
jeez, she even emphasized. Beautiful.
This is getting weird.
Just talking a gravelly voice.
My beautiful, big brown
All right,
eyes.
Yeah.
Courtney, why don't
Wait,
you start with your
blues?
favorite book?
That's what you get.
I don't want to start.
Well,
Joey.
too bad. you made it weird. You gotta start.
Joey,
What's up?
you want to start?
Wow, Joey's not
Yeah,
gonna
that's
save
fine.
you.
Yeah, I can start.
Ah!
I can start.
All right, Joey.
Well, I'll get us warmed up. I'm not gonna choose my favorite book to start. I will pick one of my favorite series that I read as a kid because I really thought of this as like, if I want people to read books, what do I want them to read that's like unique and fun and probably only I've read it, but which is not true for most things. But anyways, for this one it probably is. As a kid, my local library in Texas.
Wait, they
a
have
series-
libraries?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wow, I'm sorry. That was funny.
Oh, you didn't get his hate
Out of
mail.
line,
Jeez,
man.
I'm sorry.
Even I'm
Texas is
offended.
cool. Texas is cool. I'm sorry.
There are many literate people in Texas, including myself. And as a kid, they had a series of books by John R. Erickson that were like called Hank the Cowdog, and I really like this series because it's kind of only something you could
Get in
that
Texas.
can happen in Texas. Yeah, it's pretty much just about a cow dog who's the narrator of the series of books, and they're all like young adult books, so they're pretty short.
So
and,
I have a question.
Okay.
So for those of us who didn't grow up in Texas, is like a cow dog a real type of cow, or is that like a cow and a dog put together?
It's
Cow
a breed,
dog.
isn't
Is it like
Is
cat
it-
dog? Is its butt a cow face?
It's just a dog that lives on a ranch and will herd.
Oh,
Things
oh,
for
like
you.
a herding, like a sheepdog.
Are there
Like
pictures
cow-
in this
for
book?
cows?
There are illustrations,
All right, I'll read it.
All right.
but there's like 72 of them.
72?
published. Yeah, they're really short. I'm telling you, but it's cool. Like Hank is a cow dog. He kind of sees himself as like the super serious security of the ranch that they live on, and it has
I think I've read
everything.
this.
You might have. I think it's kind of big.
It's coming
It
back
has
to me.
It has everything you want.
It's not
Cow-
Clifford, Matt.
It's
Oh,
not-
that's the big red dog.
it has everything you want from a book on Texas. It's got tornadoes. It's got
Tornadoes.
buzzards. It's got
Buzzards.
This is like
ranch
that's
stuff.
it's like what they got in Texas, like tornadoes.
That's
and
what we got
buzzards.
in
It's
Texas.
just like you go to Texas
Snakes.
and it's a single
It's got
buzzard
snakes.
with a tornado in the distance.
yes. But yeah, so that's my number one. Check it out if you want to.
You heard it here
And he
first,
also-
ladies and gentlemen.
he
Hank
also-
the cow dog.
He also narrates his own books.
The dog?
Like
So,
like the dog does.
No, sorry.
Is
the
he like?
author. The author narrates his own books.
Who is also a dog.
The dog writes the book with his paws.
He's got opposable thumbs. Fuck you.
Jeez.
Anyways,
Dude, if a dog had opposable thumbs, do you know how scary that would be? The dog just came up and like grabbed your face and be like,
I love you, human.
it'd be like a raccoon.
Oh,
And
raccoons are
raccoons
great.
are awesome.
Yeah.
they kind of have creepy hands.
I'm just.
All right, Courtney, go.
Why are you putting it on me?
Because you were
Go.
supposed to start.
All right. Well, on a not as light note as Hank the cow dog, my book order isn't in any particular order, but Lord of the Flies by William Goulding. I read it. It was published in 1954, but I read it in high school, as actually pretty much all of these books that I will be listing, because you're forced to read, so you
So
actually.
Courtney doesn't read it anymore.
I do.
That's
I
the last
actually
time
do.
she read a book.
I do. No, it's
That's cool.
not. But I feel like they pick these books, and they, not all of them, but some of them do leave an impression on you. And Lord of the Flies definitely did. It was the first time I really, actually no, I'm not going to say the first time, but it was just kind of crazy. It's about these like prep school boys. I think they're British, and they get stuck on an island on a trip, and they get there and they kind of don't know what to do with themselves. So then there's a hierarchy that starts to form, and being tiny terrors that they are, they just start like being assholes to each other. And it's kind of
Sounds like normal school.
Right. Well, it sounds like normal school, except a little bit more murder. And, yeah. It's really good.
I've still never read this book.
Wow, you haven't?
Really?
No, they didn't force us.
I haven't
or at
either.
least our teacher skipped this and did other books.
She read,
Um,
they read another episode of Hank the cow dog. in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's all about who owns the Kong, right?
I think, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Piggy or Porky, what was
I
that?
think his name was Porky, or, yeah.
Anyway, we got this, Courtney.
Yeah. It's only been, since high school that I read it, but I just remember really liking it, and I definitely kind of want to go back and read it again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And who's it written by?
William Goulding.
She said that.
That's
did.
that's Ellie's grandfather.
Wah, wah, wah.
Oh no, Matt.
Such a bad joke. All right. That probably flew
He's
over
in-
so many people's heads.
Yeah, he's in rare form today.
He really is. I like it.
I know.
Look at you.
Even before we started.
Look at
the
this
wine.
saucy guy over here. New man.
All right, Eric, hit us up with your first libro.
My first libro. All right. So, do androids dream of electric sheep? Which is also in quotes or parentheses Blade Runner, written by Philip K. Dick, and I think I've read through almost all of his short stories and I, Robot, and I don't know, just a huge sci-fi buff when it comes to books. And I guess the short synopsis on this is that Richard Deckard, a detective in a post-apocalyptic San Fran, his job is tracking down runaway androids, who gets really complicated in terms of them being slaves, and they're not supposed to come back to Earth, but they do, and then he's supposed to hunt them down. He also deals with his VR-addicted wife, Joey, and he has an electric sheep. So it's... I mean, I read it a long time ago. I've actually picked up the paperback from like a Dollar General
Really?
last week. Yeah, it was like $3. I was like, I'm buying this.
Damn.
At the Dollar General, $3.
Yes, Dollar General, $3. Don't judge.
Dollars.
Dollars.
Look, he's in charge of the dollars. He just doesn't say how much the items are. Okay.
Gotcha.
But no, it's one of those books, or at least I feel like when it comes to sci-fi, is that you read it once a long time ago, and it can mean a couple things then, but reading through it again, maybe in the age I'm at now, it takes on a whole new meaning.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Philip K. Dick. I've read a lot of his books. They're very surreal, and they deal with what is reality and dream worlds and technology. It's pretty cool stuff.
No, I couldn't have said it better. And I think a lot of what happens with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is that it was written during a kind of like super turbulent time in the U.S., right? We had just finished World War II, or like we're still on the trail end of World War II.
It says published in 1968.
Yeah, 68.
World War II was in like the 40s.
There was
Official
a post-war feeling.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's what I mean. I just saying that there was a lot going on in the U.S. at the time, I feel, and the kind of themes within the book stood out pretty heavily.
Cool.
I still don't understand, or at least I need to Google, what the whole meaning behind the sheep was and why he was really intent on keeping this animal. Because in the beginning of the book, and I'm not really spoiling anything here, is that they talk a lot about World War Terminus and how it was illegal to not take care of animals, but afterwards it still became this thing where, like, if you didn't have an animal, you were looked at as less than human.
I buy that.
It's pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Joke.
All right, let's round out round one with Matt.
All right. Well, everyone didn't do their favorite, right?
No.
All right. So I will talk about the most recent series on my list. So I'm going to talk about the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown, which was published starting in 2014. There's 3 books in the first trilogy, obviously, because trilogy. And he's halfway through his second trilogy right now, so the second book is about to come out. It is about, in the future, people have colonized all the planets in the solar system, and there is a class system in place where some people will be designated as brown, some people will be designated as red, as blue, as green, as pink, all colors. And it's pretty much, it designates like what job you can have and where you are in the social scale. And so pretty much it starts out in the viewpoint of this guy named Darrow, who is a red, and he's tasked with mining the planet Mars to get this element that helps with terraforming the planet. And so he's basically working so that the planet on the surface can become livable for more colonists to come over from Earth. And so it starts there. I don't really want to say much more. so that I don't spoil anything. But it goes through things about genetic engineering, talks about terraforming. It's very Star Wars-esque. There's like a whole medieval type thing going to with it, even though it is set in the future and there's spaceships and stuff. They also the first novel kind of reminds me of the Hunger Games, but better. If you're familiar with that, so it's kind of like dystopian society type deal. But it's very cool. I very much recommend it. Listen to the audiobook because the guy who voices it is amazing.
I will definitely check it out.
Sounds like deep.
It's not.
Sci-fi.
So it's like super easy to read. It's super simple. It reads like a YA novel.
Okay.
So it's like super. I mean, it's not light. Like some heavy stuff happens, but it's like I don't know. It's out of all the books on here, this is probably the easiest to get into. I'd say.
Gotcha.
It's definitely not hard sci-fi. It's more like mystical Star Wars type stuff.
Yeah, it sounds.
Yeah, but you started like mining and stuff like that. Like,
that's how it starts. Okay. So just you got to stick with it.
Okay. All right, we're back to me.
Yes, sir.
We're actually making pretty good time. So, yay! All right, my number 2 on my list is a manga, and I thought about like what manga I actually wanted to talk about because it's very hard to kind of point any general person to any type of manga and be like, you should read all of this.
Man, general people don't listen to Geek Envy.
They might, who knows? But I do think a lot of people should read Yotsuba. It's a manga series by Kiyohiko Azuma, and it's been in publication since 2003, so they're still putting out volumes here and there, although it takes a while for them to publish them in the U.S. And the synopsis literally is like, there's just this clueless, cute kid who's been adopted by this Japanese man, and the books just chronicle her experiences with daily life, from like catching cicadas to eating ice cream to like dealing with hot summer days in Japan, since most of their I don't know if most, but like a lot of people don't have air conditioning still. So it's cool. It's very slice of life, which I really like, slice of life type things, and it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into Japanese life, and it makes you smile, and it's awesome. So check it out.
Yeah.
Sweet. I've
read
actually
it?
read that like a long time ago.
I have not, but it sounds interesting.
Isn't that the person who did Azumanga Daioh?
Yep, it is indeed. I think it's also good, like, for you all who have like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. Like, it's a good time to introduce them to reading books backwards.
I read it when I was like in college. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So it can still be enjoyed without kids.
Yeah. It literally works for like anyone's age. Like, if you just need to pick me up.
It is hilarious.
Indeed.
At least it was when I read it.
Listen, now it's just a grimdark.
Yeah, it's
manga series
it's kind of
with gore.
Yeah.
Courtney,
yes.
What's your?
Well, on the theme of not visual novels, but manga, I guess I will go to Blackjack on my list, which is by Osamu Tezuka. It was published in 1973. This is by the same creator of Astro Boy. But I like Blackjack better. It's about a young doctor who, he's very talented, a surgeon, and he typically performs almost seemingly impossible tasks, surgeries on people who are unfortunate, and he typically doesn't really get recognition, and he just is kind of his own man. Like, he doesn't work with any hospital. Like, he's just kind of rogue. He's like a rogue doctor.
Not licensed.
Non-licensed,
at all.
right, yeah. And
So this is just like practicing illegal medicine.
Malpractice.
Yeah, pretty much. Except
Does he help?
Hmm?
Does he help the? Does he only help like not fiscally able?
He does, but
People-
he kind of puts on a front, because if he doesn't feel like anybody, like the person is non-deserving, he might be like, oh, well, I need some obscene amount of money for this, and they'll be like, oh, we'll give you all anything. Like, one of the first ones that I read, or actually I watched the anime, it was not the anime, but it was like an OVA, and it was a young boy who got into a car accident, but he was kind of a dick, and he hit another person, and so I don't want to spoil it, but both of them ended up, like, everybody kind of ended up learning a lesson. Like, you learn lessons of humility and, like, just being a good person and
Like, don't hit other people.
with your car. But yeah, and there are a bunch of short stories. Like, it's not like some long linear story. Like, you can pretty much hop in and read any random one and follow along just fine. But I don't know, I really like it, and it's like the predecessor to House. If you guys ever saw that show.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense now.
But yeah, I don't know, I
Awesome.
really like it.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
You should.
It's been one.
I have
on
the
my
first
list.
volume if you want to borrow it.
Mm.
Something about reading physical books is a lot more satisfying than reading it any other
Agreed.
way.
I mean, yes and no. I felt like that until I got a Kindle, and then
Oh, please.
I have a Kindle and I still don't, like, I'll read on my Kindle, but I prefer a book.
Kindle's the best.
Oh my god.
Y'all
I don't
suck.
like
that's
Kindle.
That's a whole another argument.
I
Yeah.
don't like Kindle because you can never
I can't smell it.
like. I can't see how much progress I've
jeez.
made either.
Yes, you can. Kindle has a progress bar.
But it's just a percentage thing, not like actually seeing a book and like seeing my bookmark like halfway in between or something.
Some would argue a percentage is more than sufficient enough.
Whatever.
Use your
But-
imagination, Joe. You have to use your imagination for the book.
Not with
Use
the
it for the
book.
Kindle.
All right, Eric, your
All right.
number 2.
My number 2 is actually World War Z, written by Max Brooks in the year of 2006. So it's really interesting when it comes to this book because it was a follow-up to a, I guess, excuse me, I'm gonna have to start over.
No worry.
Rude.
It's going to be a fun one to edit.
I know.
Yeah.
Max Brooks, like this guy, he made up this name, right? Like,
No, it's it's Mel Brooks' son. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So let me start over so you can
Just
work
like
that out as
Keith.
well.
Ellie's golden grandpa.
this guy bought
Oh
his
my
way
god,
into
shut up.
writing.
All right, so my book for number 2 is World War Z, written by Max Brooks, and yes, he is Mel Brooks' son. Year published was 2006, and it's weird because it was a follow-up to a kind of fictitious survival guide, the Zombie Survival Guide, which was super popular.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Yeah, so it was such a transitional shift from this fake survival guide in terms that was really detailed and explained what you should do when you fight a zombie, why you shouldn't light them on fire, things like that. And then it comes out with this book that was super strong in terms of political narrative, what happens to the higher class versus lower class in the world of a post-apocalyptic zombie outbreak. The way it was told in terms of individual accounts narrated by different people, I thought it was great. And it was one of these books that I picked up on a whim just because I had the Zombie Survival Guide and I thought it would be more of the same. But whatever you do, don't see the movie.
I thought the movie was all right.
You
is this
you would
one-
be a Brad Pitt fan, wouldn't you, Matt?
I was about to ask if it's Brad Pitt. Yeah.
It is Brad
The
Pitt. in
Pitster.
The movie. I feel like the movie detracts completely from everything.
Most
it-
most book movies did.
Well, I haven't read the book, so that might be why. I liked it.
My next.
And I
book,
didn't love it
actually, I
either.
think-
It was just okay.
I was gonna say my next book does very well with its movie adaptation. The Road, which was also Cormac McCarthy, was a
All right,
great
well, I guess
book.
Eric, you start the second round.
But no. World War Z. There's some parts of the book that just, if we're talking about imagination and visualizing the certain. Have you guys read it before?
No.
I have.
Okay, Joe. So you would know about the ocean part, the ocean liner, and how the zombies are just like walking through the ocean underneath.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, the visual from that was not portrayed in World War Z at all, and I felt it was like one of the standout points. Also about the rich people who owned a building that was on stilts, and yet the zombies were able to get in. Okay,
It's cool. They do that. They do that part in Game of Thrones, so it's fine.
Yeah. But yes, it's a great book that moves away from, I guess, the author's first book being like kind of like this funny what if,
And he extended it, which is fun. A lot of people kind of start off with like little shorts like that, like an essay in or like a little short story, and then write like a full-on book after that. All right, Matt. Dose.
So in the interest of time, I kind of want to talk about my favorite series.
Let's do it.
Because it's the best.
Heck yeah.
I'm a big fan of author Michael J. Sullivan. I read, I think, every book he's written except for maybe one. I think I got one more to read. But his first series is called Rairia Revelations. It's a collection of 6 novels, and they're pretty short. Like each one is about like 200 to 300 pages each.
Dear God, you like dense stuff.
He like
And so each one, right now, how they're collected is like the first book in the Rairia Revelations has 2 books in it. So you read like 2 stories at once. And they are starring.
Wait. What?
Yeah, it's collected.
Say it
So
again.
it's 6 novels collected in 3 books. So the first, like, that's how you buy them now. Like when you buy them at the
Okay.
store, like the first book will have
So
books
you
1
got
and 2.
You get a 2 for 1.
Yeah, and then 2 and 3 and 3 and 4, or 2 and 3 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Anyways, I can count. So they star 2 characters named Hadrian and Royce, 2 thieves, and it's like kind of like a medieval type fantasy setting that are tasked with stealing something. And it kind of goes wrong, and it sets them off on this grand adventure. And these books have like the most heart out of any books I've ever read, and I'm the closest to the characters in these books. Like, just anything that Michael J. Sullivan writes, if I know that Hadrian and Royce are going to be in it, I know I'm going to love it. I would highly recommend them.
Awesome.
He
Keep
also...
thinking you're gonna say Michael J. Fox, but
No.
Go
So
on.
he also has written another series that's based 500 years in advance of the events that are happening, and in Rairia Revelations, which is also really good. I don't like it as much, but it's kind of interesting. And he's planning another series in that time frame, so like there's a lot to draw from if you like that kind of thing. But I would definitely start with Rairia Revelations, because he also wrote a prequel trilogy that happens right before it called Rairia Chronicles. So you can start with either or. He wrote them so that like nothing spoils anything, and it just kind of has like nods to things that if you've read one set of books, you like kind of know what's going on. But I would recommend reading Rairia Revelations first, even though they happen chronologically second. So
gotcha. That's like a whole journey for
Yeah.
someone.
It's
So,
awesome.
If that's your thing.
Also, if you listen to audiobooks, the same narrator is the same guy that does the Red Rising series. So
nice. You got some good, like similar flow to yours. I like that. Meanwhile, I'm all over the place. Let's go to my number 3. My number 3, out of my list of 5, is Bram Stoker's Dracula. You all should be pretty aware of this book. It was written...
So what's that book about?
Blood. It was written in 1897, and pretty much it's just like Dracula's after
Some virgins.
Keanu Reeves' girl and then they gotta Van Helsing and Keanu have to hunt him down, hunt Dracula down, and kill him. No, but the book does have a good amount of differences from the movie, although the movie is pretty good at showcasing what the book does. But the book is fun because it's written in a style that I ended up liking a lot in a lot of the future books I would read, which is it's kind of written via diary entries or journal entries or from news clippings. So it's kind of, I like books that sometimes don't take the direct narrative route of like one specific character or narrator, but that give you short snippets of information in multiple formats, and you have to kind of tie together the whole story. And then the series kind of got me more into vampire books. Like I ended up reading Interview with the Vampire after this, because it was kind of at a time when the Anne Rice books were really popular, and I don't really like Anne Rice very much, but Interview with the Vampire was really good.
Before she got into like writing angel erotica.
She got weird.
She can write whatever she wants. I just didn't think anything else was that good. And then that kind of pushed me to reading Let the Right One In and other horror novels that existed at the time. But yeah, it's a cool book. It's written a really long time ago, but like it holds up, and it's fun to when you've kind of seen a movie before reading a book. It's kind of fun to read that like resource material and see how it compares. And
cool.
It might even be free.
It's probably like public domain.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah. So Courtney, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury.
Burn.
Another high school classic.
Yes, published in 1953. I actually read it. No, I read it in high school. I was gonna say middle school, but I don't think it was middle school. Yeah, so more or less, books become outlawed. The government controls the media. And our main character is a firefighter they have a term, it's not firefighter, I don't remember what they were called, but basically they set books on fire. And he kind of realizes he kind of has like a realization, and he starts to try to save books. And there's like a whole ordeal as always, but I just really like this book because it started my love for dystopian settings, which is like a huge like favorite for me, like in video games and books and comics. Like I like.
You should read Red Rising.
That's what I told you I was going to check it out. So
it's super rad. I didn't really sell it that well.
No, you did.
Because I don't want to.
After you said stuff, I said I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, you did like. She was like, "That sounds great."
But anyway, I just like how it's just kind of really eye-opening in a sense as well.
Yeah, they definitely made some good choices in most high schools about like picking up books that made you question authority.
It does, and I still think it's relevant in a sense to now because the government does, I'm not going to get into this.
Do you think, like,
the lizard men?
Do you think if the book was written now, it would be about, like, breaking the internet?
I mean, maybe.
So basically, that's what Wreck-It Ralph 2 is about.
Oh, it's Wreck-It Ralph 2 is the sequel to Fahrenheit 451.
The sequel to, yes.
Yeah,
452.
How did we go this far? How did we stray this far from the light?
I'm just saying.
I'm sure Ray Bradbury returning in his grave talking about fucking...
I'm saying. Ray Bradbury wrote the foreword of Wreck-It Ralph.
God. Oh my God. So yeah, that's why I like it. It's the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, or prequel to Wreck-It Ralph. That's why. All right, your turn, Eric, or Matt, or whoever's after me.
No, I'll take
Eric.
it. So I thought I was going to go after Joey, considering my third book is also a vampire book, but it's Let the Right One In by Jean Ajivide Lindqvist. It's a Swedish.
Very good.
It's a Swedish man. Year published in 2004, and it's a story about a relationship between a 12-year-old boy and a vampire who actually we never find out her age, right, Ellie?
No, old as hell. Very old.
Centuries, years. But no,
Old as hell. Sorry, continue. I'm sorry.
The book and the movie are actually pretty much almost identical, with a few differentiating things or a bit more detail on Ellie's backstory. But it's a great book that talks about not just vampires but the darker side of humanity. Being separated, kind of like being a loner. A bit about not mutation, but mutilation, right?
So there's no mutation in the book?
No. But it's a great book. It's a great story. I've actually seen this not only in movie form, but I've actually seen this in theater.
Like a live show?
Like the movie theater?
A live theater?
No, actually, as in like
a play.
Theater. Yeah, play.
I saw it.
Awesome.
I saw it mimed once.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's.
I completely missed any of that.
No worries. This actually had two movie interpretations.
Did it?
It had
there's a Swedish one and an American one.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
So
And
one is called like "Let the Right One In," and the other one's called like
Let Me In.
"Let Me In."
Yeah.
That's right.
And they're both pretty good.
They're close enough, but the Swedish one holds true in my heart.
Sweden.
Yeah, Stockholm.
Awesome. That's a good choice. Everyone should check that out if you are into horror, but you're not, like, you want something that also hurts your soul.
Perfect.
It's not like horror where it's like dissecting and viscerating, but it really is about like the.
Is that what horror is? Like a bunch of dissecting?
I love that.
Well, like gore. There's no.
You know what? Matt is just like picking apart everything. I mean, I don't have.
I'm sorry.
I don't have the right words today, Matt. All right?
I had a rough day, guys.
Aww.
Eric, it's a good book. I've read it as well.
But did you see the theater?
No, I
He
told
saw-
you.
he saw mine.
I saw it mimed.
All right, Matthew, what is your number 3? Number 3.
I'm going to say.
You should go with the Pokemon one.
You want me to do the Pokemon one?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have 2 entries by Jim Butcher on here. He's an author I really like. So this is like my 5th favorite on the list. So it's not the strongest of Jim Butcher's books, but I enjoyed it immensely. I think I read this on a forum a long time ago, so if this is untrue, my bad, but someone said it was true, so I think it's true. So Jim Butcher wrote another series called The Dresden Files, which he got famous for, which is about a wizard living in modern-day Chicago. And he was doing a panel at one of his con, I think, and they were it was either that or like a writing workshop or something like that, and I think he challenged someone to like name any 2 subjects and he could write a story about it, and so someone like stood up and said Roman centurions and Pokemon, and so he was like, all right, done. And then there's now a 6-book series called the Codex Alera that is about Roman centurions and Pokemon. So pretty much it's like a classic like farm boy starts a journey and may or may not save the world, Dark Lord type crap. But the magic system in it are like these elements that attach to people, and they take the forms of animals, and they have like personalities. So you'll have like a earth dog, and it'll be there, and it's like your bro, and you can like send it out to like earth dog people and stuff. But there's also like a whole Roman centurion thing going on too. Like all the warfare in it is very Romanesque. It's a really good series. So
How many books is it?
Like 5 or 6.
Dang.
I actually read the first one.
It's completed. Yeah, the first one, The Furies of Calderon. It's pretty good. So it gets better after the first one. The first one's a little slow.
Yeah, no, I even enjoyed the first one. I never picked any more back up because I borrowed it from a friend and they didn't have the rest of them, so.
Yeah, you should read the rest.
Go to the library.
You know, you would think that going to the library would be easy for me, but it's not.
But she's in West Virginia. They don't have libraries.
Oh,
That's
my
true.
God.
Oh my god, he's taking
Sorry,
shots
there's
at
that
Virginia
joke
libraries,
again.
that too.
Oh, God.
Should have just gone with a knee joke.
Oh, damn knees.
She would have busted her knees on the library.
Oh, God. She can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
The librarian would have busted her kneecap. Like, try it now, bitch.
No, my other knee that just healed.
We should just talk about books sometimes, though.
Books totally suck.
Video games
I'm
are
just joking, guys.
visual.
I like books.
Books are great.
Obviously. Although, like, what I always say is, like, if someone recommends me a book and there's not, like, magic or elves or, like, swords and shit in it, like, I'm probably not going to read it.
We should have just listed choose your own adventure books as my top 5.
Ooh.
Actually,
That was-
those really annoyed me.
And, like, my favorite book is The Giving Tree.
Fuck off.
All right, well, that does it for today's podcast. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube, and probably at some other smaller outlets. I think it posts there, too. Or you can check us out online at geekenvy.podbean.com. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at Geek Envy. Comments, suggestions, questions, etc. Feel free to email us at askgeekenvy@gmail.com. Say goodbye, everyone.
Later.
Bye.